Welcome back to another Edgework Series preview. On to round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs here in 2024. And today we're going to be breaking down the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes series starting Sunday, May 5th. A little Cinco de Mayo action to kick you off and get things ready to go. We'll be breaking this one down alongside 2 New York Rangers fans and one complete anti-New York Rangers observer, I guess is the way to call it. So Money Sports here to help us break this one down. So, gentlemen, today we'll be breaking down in this video. We'll be talking about the series price, where this thing's currently at, everything that kind of went on in round 1, leading us to where our conclusions are going to be coming out of this one, looking ahead to round 2. We'll also get into our best bets, and we'll also dig into some series predictions. But as you see right now, when it comes to this series price between these two teams, I pull up Pinnacle, and I'm looking at the Carolina Hurricanes currently sitting minus 160 here, the New York Rangers plus 139. I've talked to Nick here now. I've had the opportunity to hear from him, hear his thoughts on this. I've talked to Matt throughout the entire season. So Money, feels like everyone kind of has the same thoughts about what's going to happen and how this series is going to play out. But Nick, I mean, you look at the prices here. Canes minus 160 would imply a little bit more of an edge here than a coin flip necessarily, which I think most of us kind of feel like this one's going to be. What do you make about this series price as we're about to head into game 1 right now?
I think everybody has kind of got a baseline understanding of analytics now. I think that's really where this comes in, and that's why you're seeing it a little bit more than what you would think. We're talking about it with hockey people. Most people feel this is pretty close to 50-50, 55-45 on actual results. But when you look at the underlying numbers, the Rangers are not a great possession team. They don't drive possession particularly well at 5-on-5. And Carolina has consistently been one of the best possession teams in the entire league since Rod Brind'Amour took over. And that was the case when these two teams played 2 years ago. The metrics were about 57% Carolina, low 40s for the Rangers, and high danger, expected goals, all the key stats that would tell you. And that series was ultimately swung on special teams. The Rangers had 7 special teams goals. They had, I want to say it was 5 power play, 2 shorthanded. Carolina only had 4 power play goals throughout the entire series. No, it was 2-2 for Carolina, excuse me. 2 power play goals, 2 shorthanded goals in that series. And that was ultimately the difference. There were a lot of close games in there. There was an overtime game. And then game 6, game 7, those were blowouts where the Carolina goaltending situation was a little more tenuous then than it is now. Freddie Anderson wasn't great against the Islanders, but he had a really nice back half of the season once he came back from injury in a straight tandem. He was really good. So I think that's why you're seeing a disparity in the perception versus the price. But these teams are pretty close. The regular season results this year would indicate the same thing. They played each other pretty close this season. There was one blowout out in there where Carolina just smoked the Rangers back in January. But these are 2 really good teams. There's a lot of familiarity. These teams play each other 3-4 times a year. The playoff series from 2 years ago. This should be awesome.
I'm excited to watch it. I mean, this is going to be one of those ones that are every single night I'm going to be tuning into. We talk about it on the morning show, the daily live show that we do here on the Edgework channel, and the different games that you're excited to get up for. In the first round, it felt like looking ahead, we were going to see some exciting series. As it kind of started to progress, some of them turned out to be not as much as what we would have liked there from an entertainment perspective. But this is one of those ones that I for sure kind of look at ahead and think that no matter what, as much as we have set these expectations and think it's going to be great, I do feel like this is going to live up to that. So I'm excited to get it underway, and I'm excited to get watching this. Alber, from a betting perspective, you watch these 2 teams, and now we're sitting here. They've both got an opportunity to have some rest. The Canes win their series 4-1. The Rangers sweep their series. Like, this has been some tidy business between the two teams, at least from just getting in and getting out of that first round. You get through. Now you have some time to get prepared for the next round. Both teams don't necessarily have that advantage of, oh, hey, we had the rest, or we have rust on us, or whatever here. What are your thoughts on where this is at and just kind of where we see the numbers right now, Matt?
Yeah, so just I guess first to like the long layoff kind of rest standpoint, like for the Rangers, it's actually kind of worked out in their favor this year, right? Like anytime you kind of look at like where they had a break before playing, to start the year, they came out really hot. Like around the holiday break, they came out hot. After the All-Star break, they came out hot. Obviously, the little break before the playoffs, they came out hot. So it's like I don't think necessarily there's an advantage there or disadvantage there. I mean, look, the Canes in a vacuum are the better team, and that's why they're favored, even with the Rangers having home ice. But just touched on it so many times. The Canes are probably the most matchup dependent team in the entire league. And this is the team that is built to beat them. The exact style they play, the fact they have high end scoring talent, the fact they get elite goaltending, the quantity over quantity way that the Canes go about a lot of their offense plays right into the Rangers' hands. So it's like, while you look at this, and the Canes have taken money here since this price opened, I think around minus 135 or so. That's certainly due to the fact that the Canes should control a large part of the series at 5-on-5. They're going to win the expected goal battle. Like, we don't even need to pretend that the Rangers are gonna win that. But man, Igor stole this series 2 years ago, and like you look at it again, and there are a lot of similarities to that series, even with a lot of important difference makers kind of new in each team's lineup. Like, the Rangers should have a special teams advantage. The Rangers, even with Anderson playing well, they're going to have a goaltending advantage. And just kind of the fact that the way the Canes plays right into the Rangers' hand a lot of times, like it's hard not to see this series going the distance. But no, like it should be, especially as like a casual fan, like it should be a great one to kind of sit back and watch because there's absolutely no love lost between these teams, and this series should be a long one.
So, Money, is this going to be a series that you're going to sit there and hate watch as someone who is a Canucks fan and who's dealing with your own demons of this Rangers team, but also kind of what you think about them, what you think about these two teams?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to come on here and rag on the Rangers as much as I could, but the fact of the matter is that you got to be objective, right? And I look at Nick touched on it, Matt just touched on it too. That you look at these two teams stylistically, right? Carolina is going to have possession, right? We know that for most of the game, Carolina is going to drive play. But one thing I've learned about this Rangers team, this core Rangers team here, is that they're comfortable playing that style, right? They don't have a problem. The Rangers generate on the rush, right? If you can, that's where they're the most comfortable. They like the counterattack. They don't care if you have possession because they know that they have elite goaltending now again, right? So, Igor's back on his game. He went through a bit of a rut there, but he's back. He's back at the level that he needs to be. So this is a comfortable way of playing for the Rangers. We know that Carolina is going to generate more. We saw this last series as well. The same thing that's plagued them over and over again, especially in the playoffs, is that they have trouble finishing, right? And at some point, you got to call it for what it is, that maybe they just don't have high-end finishing talent as much as we think they do, right? Whereas the Rangers, they've been doing the same thing over and over again, right? It's been a few years now, right? Where yes, they don't generate as much as you, but they'll score, right? So yeah, I mean, I think that it is going to be a tight series. I agree with Matt. Stylistically, it's an advantage for the Rangers. What it comes down for me is that even though we know that Carolina is going to generate generate offense, it's just that the volume that they can do it. If they are able to get to a higher volume, theoretically, based on percentages, something's going to go in, right? So, and how much Carolina can shut down the Rangers defensively too. I think that if Carolina, they do want to be able to skate with the Rangers, and I don't know that depending on how the Rangers absorb that, we'll see how it goes. But I do think that there is a matchup advantage for the Rangers. And it just comes down to, again, like every series we talk about Carolina, are they going to be able to convert on the chances that they generate?
Well, so Money just talked about there the defensive ability of the Hurricanes, kind of how they're going to play and approach this series. Talked about their ability to score offense and just kind of how much are they going to be able to do so, especially with, you look at Shesterkin, you look at the way that the Rangers team is capable of playing defense. Matt, you look over to the Canes right now, you see guys thrown into this lineup that people have kind of looked at and said, hey, those are the guys you throw out when the Canes, they need a goal. That would be Jarvis, Aho, Gensel there. What do you make of those guys being injected into this lineup? And as a Rangers fan, not having necessarily played against a Canes team consistently that's had that ability to score, is that a concern for you? What do you make of Gensel being injected into this lineup and kind of the life he's brought to them?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of just touched on it, right? Like the Canes' Achilles heel in the playoffs year after year has just been they lack finishing talent to where they can control possession and they can end up with 65% of expected goals. And it doesn't matter because they just don't have that finishing talent that some of these other teams do, particularly a team like the Rangers, which is why when you look at that matchup that benefits the Rangers, to me, the difference this time around is Jake Gensel. And it's like that has just been such a perfect fit for Carolina ever since they got him. And especially when they kind of like, and credit to the Canes for kind of realizing that, hey, maybe we're actually like a true goal scorer short of being able to get past a team like this and going out and getting him. To me, he's the X factor of this entire series. And I know we're going to get into this in a little bit, but like if he's able to score, it certainly becomes a lot tougher for the Rangers because it's something that the Canes have lacked against them in recent years.
Nick, before we started the show, you brought to our attention here the fact that Pesci won't be playing or traveling to New York in the first couple of games of this series. Obviously, bringing up the fact that Tony DeAngelo will be into this lineup, and you guys are going to have to see that as Rangers fans, him back in the building. What do you make of that loss for the Hurricanes, kind of how this affects things in this series, and how the Rangers might be able to take advantage of that?
Puts a lot more pressure on Brady Shea to play well. When him and Pesci were together this year, they were one of the best defensive pairs in the entire league in terms of limiting chances against. And because Carolina generates so much offense, they don't ask their defensemen to play a lot of defense. Because they don't ask them to play a lot of defense, you can get away with playing guys like Tony DeAngelo, who are not great defensively. But if you give them the puck on their stick in the offensive zone, they're going to help you tilt the ice. In this series in particular, the Rangers are not going to, they're going to have to target that side of the ice. They're going to target the DeAngelo half of the ice. If you have to dump and chase after, go get it, put pressure on them, so be it. But that's not a style battle that's going to go the Rangers' way. If this turns into a dump and chase, muck it up type of series, that benefits Carolina significantly because that's the Brind'Amour bread and butter. They want to turn these games into slogs where they win because they're more physical, they're faster, and it seems like they win every puck battle. If you go back and watch some of the games against the Islanders, Hurricanes didn't play great. It just feels like they won every single 50-50 puck, and you do that consistently over an extended period of time, it's going to benefit you. Carolina also has gotten decent production on that third pair. And a lot of Ranger fans mock that Trouba makes $8 million playing on the third pair. Orlov's getting like 7.25, and he's playing on Carolina's third pair. And Jalen Chatfield has been really good for them on that third pair, somebody who kind of came out of nowhere. So stylistically, I think defense is going to – Carolina's defense is not great because they actively prevent you from creating offense. Only Slavin is really good at that. Carolina's defense is great because they don't ask them to play a ton of defense. And when they do, their forwards are so involved because they play man-on-man defense that they're able to get going the other way really quickly. So from a Rangers perspective, you're going to target Tony DeAngelo, you're going to target Brent Burns, you're going to make the offensive defensemen try and play defense, and that's how you try and win that.
Let's get to the best bet portion of this game or series preview here between these two teams. So, Money, we'll start with you. You're going to look at this one. We obviously talked about the series price. Hurricanes currently sitting -160. The Rangers +139 over there at Pinnacle. What's your best bet in this series? Is there a way that you're approaching this one ahead of time? Is this something you're staying off of, but you'll be jumping to in the series? Different things you're looking at? Are there different markets you're going to be looking to attack? Where is your financial interest in this between these two teams?
So I like to map out how the series would go based on if both teams were to reach their ceiling, right? Now Carolina's favored, as they should be, but you look at if Carolina wins this series, what needs to happen for them to win? It means that they converted on their chances, and it means that something was different than the previous years, right? So then what could possibly be different this year for them to convert their chances? And Matt touched on this earlier. The thing that could be different would be Jake Gensel, right? So I go through the top goal scorers, and did this a couple of times in the last series as well. Gensel was 8-1 for the top goal scorer in this series. So that's the way that I'm going. Even though I like the Rangers to win the series, I'm not
There
going
was
there,
pain in your voice
Oh
saying that.
no.
right?
He's trying to reverse mush. This won't
Oh
work.
no, I know.
I'm not I'm not gonna go there. But we will go with Jay Gensel to be the top goal scorer.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. So there's first best bet of the series. Jake Gensel, top goal scorer, 8-1. So money currently looking at right now. Matt, what's your approach in this series from a betting perspective, or is this just someone as a Rangers fan staying the hell away from it?
I should probably just choose that option, right? Um,
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I think part of it certainly comes down to which side you like. I think if you like Carolina, like going Gensel top scorer makes a lot of sense, right? Like that's kind of a path that you see very realistically happening if they were to win the series. Um, 7 games you can get around plus 215, I think is a pretty good bet. I'm just on the Rangers at this number, honestly. Like I'm setting myself up for max pain here. I know it. I'm not going to call this series a coin flip. I've already acknowledged the Hurricanes in the vacuum are a better team. This matchup so greatly just benefits the Rangers in the way that they want these games to play out that like you can kind of see the series 2-2 after 2 or 1-1 after 2, 2-2 after 4. And now all of a sudden you could be sitting there. And I think a lot of us see a game 5. Now you're coming down to a best of 3 and you'd be getting almost plus 140. So it's like that's the route I'm going with this. I think the series should be closer to probably Carolina minus 115, minus 120. So plus 137. I know plus 135 is pretty widely available. That's where I'm going with this. So max pain incoming, but got to do it.
Yeah, you just throw yourself in the fire on this one. Rangers plus 139. You can get there at Pinnacle as well. And Nick, are you going to be jumping into this one like Matt here and just saying, you know what, I'm all in, I'm all the way in on this series, betting emotionally, cheering perspective, all the way in. That's it.
This is the best Rangers team of my life. I am 27 years old. I have no qualms about saying this is the best Rangers team of my life. It's better than the 14 team that went to the final. It's better than the President's Trophy team of 2015. The 2022 team that beat Carolina was not nearly this talented. It was not this well coached. Laviolette will make a real difference in this series in a way that the Rangers haven't had in playoff series in years past. I am not going to bet the Rangers. I am going to bet 7 games. And if you want an additional one, I see Adam Fox 11-1 to lead the series in points. I feel like if the Rangers are going to win this series, it's going to be a lot of low scoring 3-2, 4-3 type games. And that typically means you're getting power play stuff. And that typically means you're going to have Fox tilting the ice. And he's going to be one of their point per game guys if they go all the way. And he's probably in the ballpark, 8-9 points in this series, and that might be enough. It's going to be low scoring.
Oh, interesting perspective and angle to take there. I mean, we're talking about different ways to approach this, different markets to be looking at in these series, and different ways to find kind of edges there. I mean, breaking this one down so money's mapping out the series, how this might go. I like how you're kind of looking at that, Nick. They're saying kind of, you know, what the totals might be and how guys are going to be impacting the series. Final thing we'll get to here once we're through the best bets is our predictions. I can't help but laugh. I'm sorry, gentlemen. We're going to look around. We're taking betting aside. We're just going to look at this one straight up. Who wins? How many games? Nick, I'm going to you first. What are your thoughts? What are your predictions here?
All of my logic is telling me Carolina's due. All of my logic is telling me that the Rangers are riding the magic carpet a little too hard, especially considering they didn't play particularly well against Washington. But I can't not pick the Rangers. I mean, I think the Rangers definitely can do this, but it's going to be white knuckle, hold on to your butts for 7 games. I don't think this is going to be an enjoyable viewing experience. It will probably take years off of my life.
Okay, well, there you go. We're going to go Rangers in this one. How many games, Nick? It's 7? 7 games, that's what it is?
7.
7. There you go. Rangers in 7. Matt, over to you. Who wins? How many games?
Rangers in 7. I echo all of that. This series is going to take years off our lives. Like, kind of his point. Like, I do expect it to be super low scoring. I expect to end up on a lot of unders. The Rangers are going to win. It's going to need to be because of the power play. I'm very curious to see how Carolina tries to match up here. I assume they're kind of going to put their checking line on the Panarin line. You're going to need more out of the top line at 5-on-5 than the Rangers have had for months. Or to Nick's point, you're going to need the power play to come through. So I'd certainly do like that Fox bet. Logic says Carolina wins probably in 6. Got to go Rangers in 7.
Okay. Logic says Canes in 6, Rangers in 7. So money. There's a reason I left you to the end. I knew that these two gentlemen were going to be on the side of the Rangers there. Give you the opportunity. Are you bringing the hammer, saying no, this is not happening, or are you behind the Rangers in this series?
So a couple of things here, right? So even
That
even if
smile is not good.
even if the Rangers win, I will enjoy seeing Matt suffering, right? Because it's gonna be tough for him.
I spent a week and a half rooting for the Vancouver Canucks. What is this?
But and the other thing too is that, like, look, there's no secret that I carry a lot of trauma from the Rangers, right? Not only did they ruin my childhood, they altered the entire trajectory of my life, right? So and so there's that. But that being said, I do see an opportunity here. If Zach holds up his end of the bargain, I will pick the Rangers, and I'm going to pick the Rangers in 7 games. And Zach, do the right thing.
I know what you want me to do. I don't think I can do it. I'm going Canes in 7. You guys all went Rangers on this one. I'm going Canes in 7. There will be no panel sweep here today, gentlemen. There's no panel sweep for those people watching as well. Canes in 7. I agree. It's a coin flip. There's just something that kind of feels like Rod the Bod might have those guys running through walls ahead of Game 7. There's going to be a speech like you've never seen before in that room. And I'm not saying Canes are blowing them out in Game 7 either. I think that one's going to be one of those kind of sit there and bite your nails off kind of games. But that's where I'm at. Goes the distance. Canes in 7.
Now, look, I will say, right, that, like, I don't hate the Rangers, right? This team has
6 months talking shit on the Rangers. I don't actually hate them.
I don't hate the Rangers. What I do hate is, like, every time I watch a Rangers broadcast or anything to do with the Rangers, I hate seeing Mark Messier's face, right? So that is the problem I have. If we can get to a situation where I don't have to see his face and I can watch Rangers games, I'm totally good. So I will leave it at that.
Okay. All right, there you go.
He's not ready.
Those are our series breakdowns, best bets, and predictions. We appreciate everyone who tuned in here today. Nick, So Money, Matt, thank you guys for taking the time to do this. We appreciate it. Series starts tomorrow. This video will be up. But as for everyone out there, let us know what your thoughts are on this series, your predictions, your best bets. Drop them in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe here to the Edgework HQ YouTube channel, as well as like this video. We'll have plenty more series predictions coming up for the rest of the second round. And then as we get to the third and the Stanley Cup final, it'll be happening right here on this channel. Thank you, boys, for doing this here today. We appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who watched. We'll see you in the next Edgework Series preview and predictions.